Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 152 of the RRBG podcast. As we are all still living under the pandemic lockdown, a lot of our sponsors are unable to provide promo codes. However, a lot of them are still open and providing special pricing. So I wanted to give a shout out to some of our sponsors. Please check out Thunderking Coffee. Go to thunderkingcoffee.com. They're selling all of their coffee at wholesale price right now, and they ship all over the U.S. Also, check out Saints Joints. Go to saintsjoints.com. They're currently selling 100% CBD joints available for shipping across the U.S. wherever it's legal. And you can support them by picking up some merch as well. I also want to give a shout out to Hella Hot Hot Sauce. They're shipping as well. So please make sure to go to their website, hellahothhotsauce.com, and pick some up today. And I wanted to give a special shout out to our buddies over at Cosmic Eye Brewing. Breweries are especially struggling during these times since they are unable to sell kegs to these restaurants and bars that are closed down. But they are still open and making beers. If you're in the Nebraska area, you can stop by for pickup or go to their website, cosmiceye.beer, and check out all the merchandise they have available online for purchase. And you can order online for pickup as well. In this episode, I talked to Bill from Mastodon. We talk about how he's dealing with the pandemic. We talk a little bit about our president. We talk a bit about the quarantine and COVID-19. We talk about Mastodon's new music, the new album they're working on right now. I had a great time talking to him. I've been a fan of Mastodon's from the beginning, and it's a real honor to have him on. Please make sure to check out mastodonmerchstore.com and follow Billy online. And please check out the Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/RRBG. Cheers.
Hey, Eddie.
Hey, what's up, Bill? How you doing?
Good, man. What's happening?
Not much. Existing in the weirdest time of my life so far.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I mean, not a lot's changed for me. I kind of, except for the touring part, which sucks, but I don't mind social distancing at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing that a lot. I've been hearing that a lot from folks that are on, musicians. They're like, yeah, usually I'm in social distancing anyway because I'm sitting in the studio writing or, working on some kind of project, or if they have families, they're just working on being with your family.
Where are you located?
I'm in Long Beach right now. I used to be in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how I know Alex from there, and then I moved out to Long Beach, California about 4 years ago to kind of, just shift careers. I was working in the beer industry for like 8 years, and now I work in the video game industry.
Oh, sick. I've been playing, okay, so when I first moved from Rochester, New York down to Atlanta in 1997, on my wife's PC, I used to play Star Wars Jedi Knight.
Oh, nice.
And I fucking love that game. It's so fucking cool. Then there's Jedi Outcast, which is the second one.
Yeah.
And, that was like in the early 2000s, I think. And it's a pretty old game. And they, a couple of years ago, I was like, man, I'd love to play that game again. So I couldn't find it on any Xbox or PlayStation or whatever that I knew of. So I bought on Craigslist an old original Xbox that had, and I bought that game, and I think I bought Jedi Academy as well, because I think it was like Dark Forces for like the first game, which I can't find that anymore. But I bought the original fucking consoles just so I could play those games, and I stuffed them away for a few years, probably like 10 years, and I just kind of unboxed it the other day. And I was playing it, and I was like, man, this sucks. This is too hard to play with the old controller and everything. So I happened to be on PlayStation 4, and I was downloading, the new Battlefield Warzone game. And I noticed that in the download section, it offered Jedi Knight 2, the Jedi Outcast. I was fucking for like $19. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna buy that. So I downloaded that, and it's a really long game. So I've been playing that for like the past like 2.5 months.
Really? Wow. Yeah, I saw that they released that, and I was, I remember playing it back when it first came out, but I hadn't played it in so long. I was a little like weary, but I gotta check it out.
It's not bad for being like a it's like a 20-year-old game now, but it's actually for its time, and even now, like it had some of the best, because it was LucasArts, it had some of the best like lightsaber duels and shit like that like no other game had come out with yet. Yeah. And it's pretty fucking rad, man. I like it. I like the old school games. So anyway, that's what I've been. I do that. I play that game like at the end of the night after my wife and I are watching like Boardwalk Empire. It's an old show too, but we don't ever agree on any shows together. So that's one. I was like, we heard from our neighbors that it was really good. So, I'm like, why didn't I ever watch this? It's actually really fucking good. So we're watching that, like, when the day is over, we'll watch 1 or 2 episodes of that. And, we're in bed by like 11 o'clock. It's crazy because right before the coronavirus shit hit, we were looking at a house on Tybee Island, Georgia. And that's where I am now. Do you know where it is?
Yeah. I have friends that live out in Atlanta, so I've heard of.
Yeah.
I've been there a bunch. Yeah.
It's right by Savannah and Hilton Head, so it's on the coast, and we bought a house here. Before everything happened, we'd been looking at a house for years, like 10 years, and it finally went up for sale, and we put an offer in, they accepted, and then the closing date was like April 9th or something, right in the smack dab, like middle of all this shit. And we were kind of nervous about, buying a house right now because we weren't getting the discount that everyone's probably getting now, like, with lower mortgage rates and all that. We were kind of too early for that. But long story short, we ended up buying the house, and it's like a vacation home. It's really small, but it's something we can rent out when we're not there. But we've been holed up here for over a month, and we're just hanging out, and it's been nice. Yeah.
I love Savannah. I used to go up there every year for the St. Patrick's Day thing that they do in downtown Savannah, where they like dye the river green and everything. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, they didn't do it this year because of the whole coronavirus.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. How's that treating you guys? Aside from obviously, there's not a lot of changes for you with social distancing and everything, but financially, how is that affecting you? Because I'm assuming a lot of bands make most of their money through touring and being on the road, selling merch and all that. So how's that been for you guys? And I'm assuming, hopefully, you've been investing all the monies you've been making over the years.
Yeah, well, the good thing is that, like, my wife's still working. She's an epidemiologist for the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So she's working on coronavirus now. Everybody's been shifted to that, obviously. Not a hoax, as some fucking idiots think.
It's so ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I just keep getting these emails from people or messages on Facebook or whatever. Like, hey, your wife's an epidemiologist. What does she think of all this? Has she seen this conspiracy theory movie on YouTube? I'm like, no, she doesn't need to. She doesn't have fucking time to waste watching YouTube conspiracy theories because it's fucking real. There's like 500,000 people dead.
Yeah.
And you can't fake that. I mean, come on. So Chinese virus, all this horse shit, whatever. Even if it were not a natural virus, it's still a virus and it's still killing people. So I don't know. I went out. So like, I'll get back to your question, but I went out last night. We had some friends visiting from Atlanta because I've got two boys, 15 and 13, and they had some of their friends over. on the island. Because they come here too, and we just happen to be here at the same time. So we were all hanging out. We love the parents, so we went out with them for tacos last night, and they've reopened. Georgia was one of the first states to actually reopen, which still doesn't matter to me. I haven't been going out, but we did go out last night. We sat out on the patio, and there was nobody really there. Ordered some food, and they were very everyone's well protected and social distancing and stuff. But it's a beach town, and it's that kind of young people's mentality of like partying and drinking, and we're on vacation, and all of a sudden it just started getting really crowded in there with like loud, drunk, 20 somethings. So we left, but it's just interesting, man, because it's even like I'm used to the norm now, which is like keeping your distance and stores being closed and only allowing a certain amount of people in at a time. I'm used to that now, and last night was very uncomfortable with just all these people nearby, and I was like, man, it's still not safe to be like, it's too early to be like not social distancing and reopening restaurants and businesses. And I totally get the fact that people need to work and they need to make money, but honestly, the government needs to figure out how to stop banks from collecting late payments and mortgages and rents and stuff like that. They need to put all that shit on hold, because I'm a landlord. Getting back to your question about what do we do about, because Mastodon hasn't worked since last summer.
Yeah,
we've been taking this time off to A, relax, B, write a new record, and we were kind of right in the middle of it. We had about 20 rough songs recorded right before this hit, and it just totally put the brakes on it. And then we moved here, and Troy lives in Florida, so it's been like where I'm actually leaving tomorrow for Atlanta. We're going to get back together and have our first kind of try to get back into finishing a few things that we started and just see where we get. But I have investment properties. I own a couple rental properties on my street in Atlanta, and we have the building that we bought a few years ago. That's a rehearsal facility. I mean, it's not a cash cow, but it's definitely an income, and it's people are hurting, and I can see it because the bands that are in there are like struggling to pay their rents, and that's this trickle down economics is going to kill us all, because if they think, oh well, the stimulus check's $1,200, that's just going to go straight to my landlord, man. It's like, well, yeah, but when it goes to me, it goes straight to the fucking bank that owns the building, or owns the house or the property that I'm leasing from them to rent to you. It's not, I don't own all this stuff outright. I just took out loans. I took out loans to buy all this stuff, and because I've had good credit, because I've done things the right way, paid my bills. So it's a trickle down economy. It's gonna the banks are the banks aren't closed. They still want their they want their mortgage payment every month, and I have to give it to them, or I'm going to lose everything, and then I'm going to be really fucked. So there's no income coming from the band except for I have a merch store that I run personally. It's called MastodonMerchStore.com. A lot of people don't know about it, but I trying to get more advertising going on, and buying some more advertising for it, because it does, when it does well, the money goes straight to the band instead of being split up between managers and all the powers that be, that people that work with us or whatever. So that's a little bit of
MastodonMerchStore.com.
MastodonMerchStore.com. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, check it out. There's lots of records, stuff that like you don't find on the stuff you wouldn't find on the regular merch store site.
Okay,
like
I see.
Yeah,
guitars and some pedals. You got a hot sauce. You got some shoes.
There's some shoes, and there's lots of records, like vinyl, signed vinyl. And it's kind of tough to ask people to buy stuff right now because nobody's working. But we seem to be having a steady amount of people buying records and stuff like that, which keeps the lights on at home for sure.
Yeah.
But it's tough right now, man, and I feel like we're going to be the last business to open when it comes back to, like, playing gigs and having concerts, because nobody's going to want to go out and stand in a hot, sweaty concert, butts to nuts with a bunch of people and not knowing if they're going to get sick or not.
Yeah, it's rough because that's one of the things I was thinking about. Like concerts, like being in the crowd and moshing, like that's at least a year away. At least, like I'm saying, not the government or whatever, but me personally, I'm not going to feel comfortable going to a show like that for at least another year. And I was looking forward to going to Psycho this year in August, but I don't think have they even announced that they canceled that yet? Like, that's got to be canceled.
Which one?
Psycho, Las Vegas.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, most of those big festivals have to be canceled. And I heard like Missouri is opening up concerts with like social distancing seating charts, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about going to a show that's like half empty. That's not going to feel good either.
Yeah, is it even going to be worth it? Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the hoax thing, man, because I was talking yesterday with a couple people from, around the world. Like I talked to Stevik from 12 Foot Ninja out in Australia, and I talked to Anders out in Norway. And, they're telling me about their shutdown and how they're handling it and the amount of deaths and that they've had. And, like, Norway has been very good about the social distancing thing and staying inside. And their numbers are real low. But there's still, hundreds of people, thousands of people dying. And, people want to come at us with this bullshit that it's a political play, that, it's the Democrats or it's the Republicans for re-election or some conspiracy about population control.
It all stems from these idiot Trump supporters who believe everything that this orange shit stain says. He's so wobbly, it's ridiculous that anyone would still to this day take him seriously and believe that he has your best interest in his agenda. He does not, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
What it is he wants to blame everything on Obama. He wants to, just because Obama put him in his place at that roast. He said something about, he was trying to, the whole thing with the birth certificate, and Obama was up on the stage on the podium and called him out, and he was like, here's, just so in case you want to know, here's my birth certificate, Donald Trump. And he was so steamed, he was like, I'm going to show that guy that a person of color would do that to him, because he's a total racist.
Right.
So he wants to, just out of spite, he wants to undo everything that Obama's done. And in doing so, he's undone, the American population. People are picking sides, and now it's like, doesn't matter what your beliefs are, you're either Democrat or Republican. You can't be bipartisan. You're just one or the other, to the death. Like, doesn't matter what fucking Donald Trump says. Like, you just believe everything blindly. So that's why when anyone says, well, it's someone suggests that, it's a political thing, or it's a ploy by the Democrats to make me look bad. It's like, no, you're looking bad on your own, buddy. Like, you are completely capable of looking bad on your own. So that's where it's all stemming from. And now people are, oh, this is a hoax. This is America. We're going to do what we want to do, and freedom and all this bullshit. If everyone just stayed in their house for like 3 weeks, then this shit would be over with and we could go about our lives. But they won't, because they want to defy what they think are the Democrats, and for political motivation, to defy anybody who says, anyone who has any brains behind them, really, and science, they want to just go outside and go back to work.
Yeah.
But, you can't do that. It's, we're never going to get back to work with this attitude. So I'm just doing my part, man. I'm just social distancing as much as possible, staying indoors, trying to be positive. It's hard though. It's unprecedented, and no one knows really what to do, and people are scared. That's why they're freaking out. And like I said before, the government. Whose idea was it to give out $1,200 to everybody? What the fuck is that going to do? That's peanuts. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, people think that's a big number. That's because you've never had any kind of money in your life. Like even me, like I've grown up poor. I've struggled. I was a musician too, so I had to do the road and like live off of $5 a day or whatever nonsense. So I'm used to being kind of conservative with my money, but $1,200 does not cover even a month of rent for me right now in California. I'm paying $1,900 a month.
And that's like a one-time thing. Like what does he think? And the audacity of that prick to hold that money until he could sign, have him each stamped with Donald Trump's name. What a fucking scumbag. What a fucking scumbag. I just can't believe.
Like somebody's going to frame that shit and put it in their living room. Like, oh, look, he signed it.
Egotistical maniac. It's unfathomable that we live in a country in 2020 and people and this fucker is still in charge. He's an idiot.
The thing is that there's, while there is a lot of people like yourself or me or like-minded, there is still a lot of people that don't really, they're very selfish. They're kind of like him.
I'm losing faith in the American people, honestly. I'm like, man, what is wrong with our country? Why is everybody like so into this guy? He's a fucking failed talk show host, or not even a talk show host. It's a fucking reality show. I hated him then. I was like, God, this guy makes me want to barf. I hate him.
Well, that's the thing. The nation has become this just consumer kind of entertainment consumer thing, and obviously I consume entertainment too. I don't watch TV, but I mean I play video games. I'll watch movies and shit. But most people in America are sitting at home watching reality TV all day. The Honey Boo Boo bullshit and The Apprentice and all that shit. So obviously they're going to be attracted to that type of they want that as their present, as like a big part of their life. They feel like it's exciting to them, and I don't get it. I really don't.
It's because America is dumb. They're dumbed. People are dumbed the fuck down so hard, especially compared to other countries. I travel all over the world, and I just see how much better it is. And I'm like, believe me, I love my country. I love it here. It's just the people I could do without. Not everybody, but there's like the people that I know and I associate with, we're all kind of on the same page, and I don't know, man. Every day is so ridiculous. I'm sure in me speaking like this, someone will be like, love America, love it or leave it. It's like,
right.
No, you fucking leave it, man. You're the fucking idiot. Oh, let's reverse, this whole snowflake argument about, well, let's reverse abortion and do all shit. It's like, no, abortion is legal, dude, in America. You're the one who's wrong. You're trying to reverse it. You're the fucking snowflake. You know what I mean? Like, you can't handle it. Get the fuck out. You don't want abortion? Then don't fucking have one. Period. Stay the fuck out of my business.
Yeah, man. I mean, if abortions didn't exist, I'd be in so much trouble right now. I would have.
That's just one example, but the mentality, this herd fucking mentality, and I don't know. I could go on it for hours about that shit staying in charge.
Yeah.
But I don't want to waste any more breath on him. Let's talk about something fun like music.
Yeah, music. Tell me. So you said you had like 20 songs for the new album. What can I expect when I hear it? Because I feel like Emperor of Sand brought back some elements from some of the earlier records. I was listening to it. I'm like, wow, yeah, this sounds like something I might have heard on, like Blood Mountain or Leviathan or something, or even Remission. So. Where are you guys leaning towards more of, because the band's progressed and the sounds kind of changed from like a heavier, crazier, screaming all the time to more melodic, more rock, more progressive. Is it still going in that trajectory? Have you guys kind of maybe pulled back and gone a little heavier? I mean, where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, I don't know, it's all relative to who's writing and who's, with Emperor Sand, it was, my mom was really sick with brain cancer and tragically passed away from that right when I was in the heart of like writing that. And I was getting a lot of my demons and my riffs out for that record in particular, and, I really helped write that a lot, and with this new record, it's kind of the same. I've definitely been writing like a madman, like crazy. It's different than Emperor Sand, but it's definitely a vibe going on. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I've been doing these riff of the day things like live on YouTube, or not YouTube, Facebook and Instagram videos of me just like playing riffs and playing old songs, and I have to relearn them and everything. And most of them are off Emperor of Sand, the stuff that I wrote, I'm showing, so I'm like, wow, these are some sick riffs, and I'm like, the new record the stuff I've written, it's not quite as notey as that, but it's definitely got a more like Neurosis heaviness, like simplified kind of guitar parts. And Braun has been doing a lot of, he always demos most of the vocal ideas because he always has melodies and stuff like that, and he's been singing on a lot of it, at least for the demo purposes. And it's definitely kind of like I don't know, the vocals are kind of like a Sleep in the Deep style, kind of Radiohead-ish almost, like real melodic, a lot of vocal harmonies. And but when I think back about it, even though we've got like 20, 25 songs, we still don't have all of Brent's songs in there yet. And there's still a lot of time for that stuff to change and to morph into other stuff. There's a couple of old riffs, because I'm constantly writing. I carry my Pro Tools on my computer with me and a guitar everywhere I go. And I may write 100 riffs a week, but only one of them is any good, so so it's like, but I keep busy. So I guess like, what was I going to say? I wrote some stuff like years ago that I sent to Troy, and he kind of took it upon himself just to like throw down some vocals on it and spun it back to me the other day. And I was very surprised. It was a pleasant surprise. I was like, wow, man, this really sounds eerie and really dark and eerie and cool. Like I never expected this. I didn't expect you to do anything with it. It was just kind of a raw idea with a couple of guitar parts. And so, Troy's trying to be more involved. Everybody has their place, their part in the band, and sometimes, I don't know, it's just every record's a little bit different on how it gets written, or who writes the majority, or whose songs make it on the record or whatnot. But I feel like with this record, and like I said, I've just been throwing ideas, riffs, and I have two studios at home in Atlanta. So I have one in my house, and then we have a little bit more professional studio, like company that's called West End Sound, that my partner Tom Tapley and I own. And we have lots of bands come in all the time, but I sit in my studio at my house and I'll write a bunch of stuff to a click, and then Braun will come over and we'll put drums down, and then pretty soon it's like, well, we've got a pretty good idea of a song here. Cool, let's move on to the next thing. So then we get everybody and go down and actually demo it at the West End Sound Studio, where it sounds pretty close to how it's going to be on the record. And, you know, we have like 25 songs, and and I think the more the merrier, you know, and there's been a couple we've tossed out. We're like, it just sounds too much like this or that. So let's just kind of, you know, we kind of whittle them down, and it's all like time will tell which songs are going to be the keepers and the ones that make it on the record. You know, we got asked like a couple months ago to be a part of the new Bill and Ted's movie.
Oh, nice.
To put a song in there. So we wrote a song. We wrote a song to be in that movie, which we're kind of wrapping up now.
Very cool.
Yeah, pretty fun. You know, it's working with Hollywood is always an adventure, because they're kind of like, what's that?
No, I was gonna say, I always found it interesting how you guys got tied up into a lot of that, you know, like Game of Thrones and, you know, Aqua Teen and everything. Because, you know, I've been following the band and being a fan, I guess, since the beginning, since you guys were playing clubs, like tiny clubs. So, you know, when I remember the day the Aqua Teen movie was in theaters, and I'm sitting there and I hear you guys doing the intro, I'm like, what the fuck? So it's really cool to see that you guys are still doing, you know, like Bill and Ted. That's I mean, that's going to be a huge movie once it drops.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's going to be good, but but what was I going to say?
You were saying about working with Hollywood is fun.
Oh yeah, working with Hollywood is you know, same with record companies. They think that when you're an artist, a musician, that it's like going to McDonald's. They can just order what they want, and it's you get it your way, and there it is.
Right.
It's like, no, it doesn't. At least with our band, there might be some session guys or whatever that can work like that. Like, hey, I want a bluesy jingle that goes like something like this, and they can pull that out of their ass in a minute. But, you know, we're not like that. So, you know, a lot of times with the record company, they're like, hey, we need a song for this thing. We need it like yesterday. Like, when do you need it? Oh, we needed it like last week. So can you like hurry up and like write it? Like, dude, write it, arrange it, record it, mix it, and then master it and turn it in. That's going to take like a month at least. I mean, you can't just write a good song in like a day and have it recorded. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. You're not going to have any soul. So like with the movie industry, they're like, yeah, we want a song for the movie, and this is a description of the part. Okay. So we wrote something and we turned it in, and we don't hear back for weeks, for a month. And then they're like, yeah, well, the director doesn't really like this part of it's like a 20-second clip. And he's like, yeah, he doesn't like this. Can you change this? And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not changing that. I'm sorry. You just don't use the song then. I was pissed. They were like, oh, we want this like more like an AC/DC style. I'm like, then fucking call AC/DC. So,
yeah. Yeah, it's got to be interesting, man, because I can imagine, you know, as a creative person, like you said, you're not a studio musician that can just, you know, do whatever you want. Like, you actually have a sound, you have a fan base, you know, you have to keep up with that. You can't just all of a sudden drop like a dubstep song, you know, if somebody wants one, you know.
I mean, I was like, you asked us, you obviously asked Mastodon because you want to hear a Mastodon style riff for this record, and we wrote a killer fucking song, and they were like, yeah, it's like there's like the music director of the movie, who he's the one who chose us, and he loves the song, but the director is like, well, it's kind of, this is clashing with that. And I'm like, okay, you've had it for months. Why don't you tell us that like months ago? We can't, like, especially now with the pandemic, like nobody is in the same room together. It's not just like
right.
we all live in the same studio and just pull stuff out our ass all day long. So it's just interesting, you know, the dynamics between Hollywood but they're like that in every facet. I know they want it now.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah, I remember I was on set they were filming Miami Vice in Miami, and they needed a bunch of extras, so I just jumped in and we were there for like 16 hours filming this scene in a cafeteria, and it was torture because it was just every little detail was cut. Let's try it again. And at the end of it all, I go see the movie, and I'm telling my friends and family, like, hey, man, yeah, I did this scene, and I'm sitting right next to Jamie Foxx and whatever, and we go to the movie, and the scene's not even in the fucking movie.
Yeah. I know.
God damn it.
It's funny how they pay attention to so much detail, and then they'll film for 16 hours. We did that with Game of Thrones. We were there for 8-hour days, laying down in the mud and out in the cold, and I was just like, they just kept doing the same take over and over and over, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. And then you see the movie, or you see the TV show, the series, and it was like a 2-second clip. I was like, wow. Yeah. If you do that for a whole series, no wonder you're spending millions and millions of dollars on this fucking shit.
It's pretty nuts, man. That's a lot of time, a lot of crew, the extras, like you said, and
time is money.
How'd you guys end up landing that Game of Thrones thing? Was it something that they just called you up like, hey, you want to be extras, or was it something that they were approaching musically first?
The guy D.B. Weiss, who's an American guy living in Belfast, we had run into him at one of the Nebworth Castle, I think, for one of the Sonospheres, or it was Nebworth Festival or whatever, and he was there with a couple of the actors, and came backstage and wanted to meet us, and apparently he was like, hey, we're big fans, and he's like, oh, you're we were like, oh, you're an American guy, and he's like, yeah, and like, what are you doing over here? He's like, oh, I work, I'm directing this TV show on HBO, and we're like, really, which one? And he was like, Game of Thrones, and we're like, holy shit, wow, that's awesome, we love that show. And we just hit it off. We're like, our publicist was with us because she's English, and she was like, well, how do we get the guys on the show to be like extras? And he's like, oh man, we'd love that. So the next tour we were doing a few months later just happened to be starting in Ireland, and we flew over a day early, and flew up to Belfast, and got up at 5 a.m. and drove a couple hours north to some crazy shoot location and filmed all day, and went back to the hotel, and yeah, it was really fun. And then we were on it twice, so we had seen Dan again in Belfast at the Limelight Club, and we were talking to him, and I said, hey man, well, so technically our characters are still alive, so can we be in the show again? And he was like, sure, why not? So we were in the show again. That's how that went out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
To shift gears a little bit real quick, I don't know how much time you got, but I wanted to ask you about the Masto beers. Are you guys going to continue to do more beers for the new record once that gets up and running?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not really in charge of that, but I mean, I just see it when it comes around. Where's the food? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. It's usually as you get older and the band gets older, a lot of these young people who've been fans of Mastodon since the early days, and now they're young professionals. They're beer makers. They work in the movie industry. And they come back and say, hey, how about we make you guys a beer? Or, hey, how about we, guys that make guitars, guys that make amps, and they're like, they're coming. It's awesome because it's like, now we have people our age who are contemporaries who are doing awesome things with their lives. And, you know, beer's come a long way since I was a kid. You know, now it's all these craft breweries and different flavors and different, you know, they have like CBD is coming into play in beer. And, you know, it's like all kinds of crazy shit. The crazy artwork that goes along with it. Like, kind of beer is just like reinvented. So, yeah, we're all about, you know, people making good beer with our name on it. We have really creative names for our songs, so it goes good with naming products like beer and shit like that.
Yeah. The other thing I had two other things I wanted to ask you was, you know, Mastodon's done pretty much everything that a band could want to do. I mean, you guys have headlined across the world. You've gotten Grammys, or like what's left for you in the band? Like, aside from just making more music, is there any goal? Like, is there something that you're kind of aiming at? Like, I want to play a show on a volcano or some bullshit like that. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I want to be a guest on Ellen.
You want to be a guest on Ellen?
That's when you know you've made it. That's when you know you made it.
Is that the goal now? Like for anybody that's trying to be a celebrity, like you got to be on Ellen.
Yeah, you got to be on Ellen or you're nobody.
But yeah, I mean, is there anything like that? Is there any like a band that you've, you know, like a fantasy type of deal where you've wanted to play with them or something like that?
Well, we've always wanted to do the M tour. The Mastodon, Ministry, Melvins, and Metallica tour.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Yeah, it'd be a really cool tour. I'd go to that.
Yeah, right. I don't know, man. I kind of pinch myself because I'm just like, I feel like we've done so much. Like, what else can we do? There's definitely like countries we haven't been to yet. Like, we had never been to Asia really, as far as like China or Korea. I heard Korea is really awesome. Pacific Rim, you know, we've been to Japan a bunch, which is cool. Need to go to South America some more. You know, there's still a lot of the world to conquer, but you know, I can't really complain. If it were all to end tomorrow, I'd just be like, yeah, we did a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny because the trajectory of the band too. Like, you guys, you know, did the road and the club thing for a long time before. Like, I think Crack the Sky was the moment when you guys kind of like shifted to a whole new, you know, stratosphere, I would say. Like, it went from, you know, playing a semi-decent club to, you know, we're going to start playing arenas and stadiums. But it took like 30 years for you, or, you know, not 30, but it took a long time for you guys to get to that point.
Oh, yeah. Definitely wasn't an overnight thing.
Yeah.
You know, once we got a manager, that's when things really, I mean, things were taking off on their own, but once we got a manager, it was like, you know, they managed Slayer as well. So we started getting all these tours with Slayer, which put us in front of a much bigger audience, more metal audience. And then we finally, you know, had enough clout to get paid to do Ozfest, which we'd been asked a million times to do it. We always declined because it was like a losing money type of scenario. You had to pay to be on Ozfest, but we were actually getting paid like $500 a night, which is nothing. That's like the gas to get there in a tour bus. Yeah. But that's when things really changed. So we didn't have a tour bus. We had a van, and they said if you do Ozfest, you have to have a tour bus. Like, that's Sharon's rules. So we started hiring tour buses and never looked back. You know, we just started getting more and more attention, and you know, the music got a little deeper, and I don't know. We started working with like Brendan O'Brien, who had a really cool vision for. I mean, we had the vision, but he helped us achieve it. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. It's just, you know, as you mature, it's just hard to a lot of people are like, well, Remission was your best record. I'm like, well, I highly disagree, because I felt like we were just a baby of a band. We were kind of just throwing shit at the wall, see what stuck, and we were just screaming over it all, and not really paying attention to. We were more paying attention to getting to the next gig on time and looking at our giant map in the van, and being super hungover or wasted, during that entire period. So, once the Crack the Sky record and, that all that stuff is kind of a different time. We started taking things more seriously. Things got a little more, I don't want to say cushy. That's not the right word, but it's like, hey, we don't have to take every single tour. We can concentrate. We can get a real producer. We can get into a good studio. We can pay our rent, and we don't have to worry about so many things. It's like the fruits of our labor started to pay off. So
yeah.
The whole tour bus thing just made us we didn't want to kill each other anymore, because we were all living in a van together for months on end, turned into years. It's like, that's tough,
Yeah. It's being married. You're married to 4 dudes, or 3 dudes. Yeah.
And then we're all started having kids, and I did. I had kids, and it's like it all happened pretty good, because I was working up for 6-7 years, so like 2005, 2006, until I started having kids. And I was like, well, my wife's like, I'm still working. You need to stop working and just stay home with the kids and like be daddy daycare. And I was like, okay. So that's just kind of how it went, and luckily the band was doing well enough that we could afford that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people, that happens to a lot of bands, like the metal fans specifically, because they're very like elitist mentality. But your first record was the best. It's like, if you go back, I mean, you look at bands like Poison the Well too. They get shit all the time for like, oh, their first record's the best one. It's like, usually the production value sucks. They're recording in with less money and in a shitty situation. So it's like the quality of the production sucks. They're all angry. You can't expect someone with kids in their 30s to be as angry or as I guess as rage filled as you were back when you were a youngin and recording like Remission.
No, I mean I felt the same way about Metallica before I got into their position. It's like oh, I guess all that money, they just stopped writing good riffs, but that's a whole different ball of yarn,
Yeah, well, Metallica kind of just switched genre. Really, they were a thrash band, and like, it kind of became rock or whatever you want, hard rock or metal.
Well, it's during the Black Album. I was just listening to Injustice for All yesterday on my run, and I was like fucking going crazy. I was like, fuck yeah, this is so sick. It's so great. It's such a great album.
Yeah.
Like Dyer's Eve and Blackened. I mean, that fucking song is probably one of the best songs ever written. So sick.
Yeah, I love that song, man. that switch at the end there. I've always tried to analyze that little switch at the end with the
rhythm.
Yeah, like the little switch over. Like, I'm wondering if that was intentional by James and Lars wasn't aware that there was a switch. Like, I'm just trying to wonder, like, how that, like, was that intentional? Because if it was, like,
it's so sick. It's incredible.
Yeah. The last question I had for you was, most of the other guys in the band have other projects that they do. Like Brent's got West End Motel and, Fiend Without a Face, and, Braun's got his other projects. And, you've kind of always stuck to Mastodon. I mean, early days you had, Today's the Day, but have you ever thought about doing another project, or have you, and it's just not seen the light of day, or like...
Yeah, I have a band called Primate with Kevin Sharp from Brutal Truth.
Oh, okay. I haven't even heard of that. I guess I haven't looked in deep enough, but...
Yeah, we're on Relapse. I think we started, 2011 or something. Okay. We don't do much. We did a record. We owe them one more record.
we've been talking about. We just started playing shows again. We took like about 4-year hiatus and just started playing shows again right before the pandemic. We actually had a gig on August 10th, or not August. I keep saying August. We had a gig on April 9th or 10th in Atlanta, and we had just played like a month or two before, and it was a great show. It was like fucking 300 people showed up. It was just a little packed little dive bar called Drunken Unicorn, but it was no, not the Drunken Unicorn. Sorry, it was 529. Almost Drunken Unicorn's another place. 529. Yeah, we played there, and it was a killer show. Great energy. Filmed the whole thing. Just felt great to play again because it's like, check out Primate. It's like punk rock meets thrash meets rock and roll. Kevin Sharp singing. It's pretty crazy. Nice. Crazy political shit. But we're trying to do another record one of these days. It's just, things are so up in the air right now.
Yeah, I mean, even for for mass, like everybody's kind of just waiting to see what happens with this whole pandemic, and hopefully, everybody keeps saying, I hope we get back to normal, or I hope there's, normal wasn't really sustainable. The life that we were heading in, with everything, it wasn't really normal. So maybe a new normal or a new kind of level, but at least go back to a place where we can appreciate live music and do things with music, because it's been always such a big part of my life. Like right now, the first couple weeks of this pandemic thing, I was shut down at home. I was happy. I was like, oh, cool. I get to spend time with my wife, and I can catch up on some things I was writing, and it'd be great. But like now, I'm like, I want to go to a show, man. It's been a while.
I know.
It's been a couple months, and I hope that the fear is like, I'm okay with holding down for a couple more months and seeing where this goes, but I'm worried that we don't go back to live shows.
I know. I mean, I don't really want to change what's not broken to me. Going out on tour, playing riffs, playing shows. I mean, who knows how many more years we have of this in our band, and now we've got this whole pandemic thing where people are going to be dying to go back out to shows, and I hope we can, because that's how we make our living. And I don't want to do like virtual shows from home or any of that crap. I just want to go out there. That's part of who we are. It's going out there for the live experience.
Yeah. It's like, I saw like tonight, I believe the UFC is putting on some fights with no audience. And, like you look at the WWE, the pro wrestling, like they're doing shows with no audience. And I don't like that. I don't like it at all. It's not the same thing. I don't want it. I don't want it at all. So having like these, I think Code Orange put on a concert in front of no one. And like, while that's cool and thank you for creating something for us to watch, at the same time, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't have that same passion.
Yeah, it doesn't. Feather Talk did it too, and it looked pretty cool, but it'd be hard for me to get into it and fake it. Nobody in the audience.
Yeah,
that's what drives me when I'm playing live. It's like, man, there's all these fuckers going crazy. It's like, I'm gonna go crazy too.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we all get back to doing the thing and doing live shows and being around each other at some point. But, obviously while being careful and staying healthy and whatnot. But I hope to hear new Mastodon live at some point, because, that really excited me when you guys did the Emperor of Sand. You guys did that's one thing right there. Like, look at with Emperor of Sand, you guys played at Amoeba. And I was out there with you guys hanging with Braun, and that was such an exciting thing. And now Amoeba's gone; they're not reopening.
That's terrible.
The one in Hollywood, anyway. They're not reopening, and that's the other thing. Like the Troubadour's closing down, and a whole bunch of these really awesome historical venues are not reopening after this.
That's where the banks need to like put on the brakes, man. Just give everybody some time. Because it's going to trickle down to everybody. Even the banks have to close.
Yeah. Are you financially Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Like, the banks aren't going to be able to support their loans if no one can pay them, and the banks will close down. So it's like they need to kind of lay off, and everybody needs to take a big step back and look at the big picture. What were you saying?
Well, I was going to say, like, are you good? Like, if for some reason, like the worst case scenario, we don't go back to live shows and shit like that, are you good to just retire at this point?
Not really, no. There's too many things I have that I like in my life, but like I said, my wife still works. She works for the government, so she's got a steady job. And I don't know. I'm still, I got a lot of gear I'm still selling just to try to keep myself from going into the negative.
Would you do anything else besides music? Like what else would you do if you had to, if like they said, hey, the music industry is dead, we're not doing concerts anymore. What would you do?
I don't know. Maybe hook up on a construction team or come cook food or something. That's probably the only things I can really do. I could probably do anything if I put my mind to it, but I don't know. Hopefully we won't cross that bridge. But I'm thinking about doing some online lessons and things like that, just to kind of see how it tests the waters and see how it goes in case I really have to. Like, man, I need to bring in like at least a couple $1,000 a month now.
Yeah.
So, well, cool, Eddie. Good talking to you, man.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for your time. If anybody that's listening, look him up. What's your for your lessons? I know you're doing. Are you doing the lessons already?
No, not yet.
Okay, but you're gonna do it, and it'll be through your social media, right? Yeah,
my personal Instagram is Billy, BILLY _Butterslax, BUTTERSLAX, and then there's Mastodon Rocks. MastodonRocks.com. There's the Mastodon Yard Sale Instagram page. There's also the Facebook page, and then there's the MastodonMerchStore.com, where you can buy merch and records and stuff that you can't buy on our global merchandising, where they have like the T-shirts and stuff like that. So check it out.
Yeah. But thanks again, man. Stay safe out there. I'm hoping that everything works out and we can hang out and hopefully see you guys again and have a good time together.
All right, Eddie. Thanks, man. Sounds good.
Take care, man.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And the sky opened up and it's